request taxi to the runway for departure, VFR southwestbound with flight following to Key West International.
So why are we flying these two sharks to Key West? I'll explain while you watch the footage of the first time that we rescued and relocated one of the two sharks. Key West is about a 4 to 5 hour drive from the mainland where we live in South Florida. In order to reduce the stress on the sharks as much as possible, we decided to fly them. This cut the travel time by about 3.5 hours. From 2014 to 2015, we were working on a few sustainable aquaculture breeding projects in an aquaculture facility. One of the areas in the facility was designated to a large shark tank. This tank housed a few rescues that we took in while we had the room to do so. One of the sharks that we took in was a white-spotted bamboo shark that we named Herman. Herman had been living in a display tank in a fish store with a few other sharks. They needed to move him, and since we had the room at the time, we took him until we could find him a more permanent home. The rest of the sharks were rescued and rehomed about a year or so later, and they're now being cared for by students at a high school that are studying to become veterinarians. Once the breeding projects came to a close in our facility, Herman was relocated to my uncle's house. My uncle has cared for many sharks before and luckily had some room for Herman. In August of 2017, I finally found Herman a very suitable permanent home at the Key West Aquarium. At the time, my uncle had another shark that he had rescued of the same species that he was housing until we could find him a better home as well. I want to stress that aquariums do not normally take in sharks from hobbyists, nor do high schools. This was a special circumstance in both cases. If you're planning on keeping a shark, you will most likely not be able to bring them to your local aquarium once they get too big for your tank. We have done quite a few rescues and relocations, but sometimes it takes years to find these sharks a permanent home. We have limited space to house these sharks ourselves, so please keep that in mind if you're thinking about keeping sharks. Also, on average, they can live up to about 25 years, so that's another thing to keep in mind. It's probably a good idea to point out that Aquaparel is a passion project for me. We're not funded by anyone, and we're not a very big company. In other words, this is not my full-time job, and these people in the videos are not my employees, they're my friends. I grew up keeping fish, and I got into keeping sharks and stingrays when I was about 15 years old. Having the privilege of living with these species of sharks for many years has taught me many things. Probably the most important thing is that sharks are not what they're made out to be. They're very intelligent, and they play a very big role when it comes to keeping our environment healthy. Protecting them and sharing their stories with you is the least that I can do for them, in hopes that I will inspire others to care for their well-being and for their survival. They say the road to hell was paved with good intentions. In virtually any aquarium's mission statement, it will say something along the lines that they were founded in order to expose people to marine life and get them to care for their survival. I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes that sums up the message that I'm trying to convey best. For in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand. We will understand only what we have been taught.